You might look calm, capable, collected. All those things you might look on the outside. On the inside, though, inside, whole different story. Inside, you may feel like, man, I can't ever just turn off. Your mind may be spiraling. You may find yourself overthinking. Now, my friend, if this sounds familiar, you may be experiencing something called high functioning anxiety. And what's interesting about high functioning anxiety is that many people do not even realize that they're in that space. I often see this in high functioning professionals, lawyers, attorneys, school teachers, EMT workers, individuals out there in the workforce. My name is Dr. Santos. I'm a licensed therapist, love working in the space of wellness, anxiety, managing oneself, right? Developing stability, a concrete mindset that helps you move through life effectively. Today, I want to explain what high functioning anxiety is, what it looks like. That way you have an idea of navigating it, addressing it. High functioning anxiety, it's something that we experience. And often it's not really seen by so many people on the outside, typically because the individuals with high functioning anxiety are high functioning. Get that part? So a person high functioning, they're going to show up responsible, driven, dependable, which makes it really tough to see that this person is experiencing anxiety because they're showing up as those things. And if you're watching this, maybe you're like, yeah, that makes sense, right? I am very driven. I am very responsible. I am very dependable. That could be why other people are not seeing it. You meet expectations, right? That's common to high functioning individual. You perform well. You're collected. You keep things together. Perhaps you're even organized. The whole outside world sees that. And then inside, right inside, we look in there and then we see there's tension, there's pressure, there's constant mental activity, there's a constant on switch, there's overthinking. Some of the common signs, going a little bit further in here with the overthinking, high functioning anxiety, some of the common signs is having a hard time relaxing. That can be really tough because you just go, 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 go. Perfectionism, right? You lean towards that, feeling that there's a light switch on the entire time. No matter what, you're just on. You sometimes have a hard time being present. Could even be with yourself or with other people. You have a hard time calming yourself, maybe regulating your nervous system. You may do a lot of overthinking of decisions. Now, those are some of the common signs of high functioning anxiety. Many people with high functioning anxiety, which again, this is why it's tough to really find it, to really see it out there, right? This is my what is the telescope, I think. Hopefully that is. Otherwise, I'd be very silly in this video. But we'll just go with it. It's tough to see individuals with high functioning anxiety because, as I mentioned, they're reliable, dependable, and as you see some of those symptoms that I mentioned, they are also leaning towards perfectionism. Now, another factor that I find to be added to the reason of why it's hard for someone with high functioning anxiety to kind of hide out there is that society praises that person. If I'm high functioning with anxiety, right, I'm often being praised, right? Hey, Juan, you're reliable, you're dependable. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for getting this perfect. Inside, though, right inside, I'm exhausted. I'm overthinking. I'm spiraling. My switch is always on. So one of the questions that people ask me is, why does this develop? Right? This pattern often develops. It often comes through a multitude of ways. One of them could be learning. Right? I may have came from a development. My parents, let's just say, I came from a household where I've learned to be prepared. I've learned to stay alert. I've learned to be mentally active. Right? Why? Because I grew up in a house where it was not okay to make mistakes, right? If I made a mistake, it was a disappointment. Now, what does that mean? That means that my nervous system is going to stay in a certain mode, and it's not going to be a relaxed mode. My nervous system is going to say, hey, I'm going to stay in a threat mode. Now, it may not be very high, it could be a mild level, yet what takes place in this mode is that I'm always on, right? Because I don't want to make mistakes. So being on means I'm alert, I'm prepared, I'm mentally active. To the world, it looks different though. To the world, it looks like I'm dependable, I'm there, I'm a perfectionist. What can help? Likely a question that you have. And I'm hoping that as you're going through this video, some of these things are relating. There's a course that I have on managing anxiety. It applies heavily to this. If a lot of this applies to you, it's one of the core reasons I've developed the course. I've taken over a decade of experience in working with patients in a clinical setting, pulled a lot of that in here, removed a lot of the complexity, and looked at what are skills. Because when it comes down to it, managing anxiety, we can't eliminate it. Skills, however, we can learn. And skills are what help us to regulate the nervous system. And that's what helps us to bring that anxiety down, to shift our patterns, and then to show up in a parallel way, meaning that what you see on the outside is what you see on the inside. So what helps us? Relief doesn't mean, as I mentioned before, that you're just entirely eliminating anxiety, right? Because anxiety is going to come from all different factors, internal, external. Instead, it's learning. And that's what that course does. A course is going to help learn how can I figure out what my body's doing, right? And through the course, you learn body relaxation techniques, learning how to come up here to the brain and that spiral of thoughts, that overthinking, learning how to reframe that, how to shift that back so that you have a bit more balance in life, learning to reduce over responsibility patterns. This is a big one with individuals with high functioning anxiety. And then learning to find that light switch and turn it off, right? You be the one that has a bit more of that control over that light switch itself. These, which is really awesome, these are all teachable skills. And it's why I developed that course. Pulled a decade of work in the clinical setting, brought it in there so you have applicable skills that you could put into play. If you're watching this and you're recognizing that this is relatable, right? You may be saying, hey, I think I may, have that high functioning anxiety or patterns of it or symptoms of it. I want to encourage you to give yourself love, start there of, hey, this is not a character flaw or personality flaw, right? This is a circumstance of life depending on different factors that may have taken place. Take that next step, go to the description below in the video, click on the course for anxiety, jump in there. One of the neat things that I do is I take student feedback. There are countless students in there that have taken the course and they get to ask questions. They get to reach out and say, hey, I'm struggling with this, or this in the course helped me, or can you add this new thing to the course? And then I take that really serious. I continuously update it while I'm learning in the actual field, working with live patients. I'm bringing that back into this course to give you more and more. I know you're going to find it helpful. I appreciate you watching this video. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll see you in the next video.